I've been thinking every day since coming here. How did things turn out this way? Ruined minds and bodies, people with no freedom left. What kind of person would want to go to war if they knew they were going to end up like this? But there was something there all along, pushing us right into hell. For most of us, that something is not our own free will. We're forced by others or by our own environment. That's why the people who push themselves into hell see a different hell from the rest of us. They also see something beyond that hell. Maybe it's hope. Maybe it's yet another hell. I don't know which it is. The only people who do know are the ones who keep moving forward. Eren Jaeger is among the most detailed and well-developed characters in the medium of manga. What most impresses me about Eren is how Isayama built him from the beginning of the story to the very interesting ending. Specifically, the true darkness and despair that lies within his character, as while he is universally considered a top-tier protagonist, his character has been misunderstood by many people in many ways. Some call him a simp, some call him the GOAT, and some call him the greatest main character to exist. But to me, he is nothing short of a brilliant character. Eren Jaeger is a character who isn't given a dark backstory or incredibly deep philosophical motives like what you'd get from a character like Guts or Musashi. Instead, we are given this naive young boy who is driven towards a specific goal for a specific reason very early on in the story. He isn't necessarily what you'd call a complex character at the beginning of Attack on Titan, but that's exactly what makes him so special. Creating such a solid yet incomplete protagonist is what really helps you see the development and growth of Eren as a character. This style of writing is not very common in the medium of manga, especially within the shonen genre. Eren is a character that, if placed in any other story, would probably be a confusing and very incomplete character. But for the story of Attack on Titan, he fits perfectly in such a way that it almost seems like he was meant for this story and this story alone. For a show with so many complex philosophies, incredible writing, lore, world building, and so many different characters with different goals, it's easy to see Eren as a pretty average MC amongst the bunch, especially in the early stages. But that couldn't be further from the truth. And that is the reason for this video today. In the early stages of Attack on Titan, Eren is a very black and white character in the way that he sees kind people as good and evil people as bad. His goal to destroy all the Titans fits with this idea since he believes that every Titan is bad and that they must be destroyed because they caused humanity incredible amounts of suffering. Whereas the people he's familiar with, or even all of humanity for that matter, were considered good people in his mind. For Eren, this early on in the story, it's easy to see how truly naive he really is, knowing nothing about the world that he lives in and what it's really like. This is exactly what drives him into who he becomes in the later seasons, and it's the exact thing that allows for such deep and detailed growth. It's that exact naiveness that shapes his character early on in Attack on Titan and allows him to grow so much later down the line. He was just a regular kid stuck in an incredibly cruel world. After having trained for 5 years to defeat the Titans, Eren and the Survey Corps were pretty confident that they could kill the Titans. Nice. Episode 5 of Season 1 is where you can really see that for the first time, he's faced with a challenge. After realizing that he was about to die accomplishing nothing, he transforms for the first time inside a Titan's body. This is Eren's first real exposure to the cruelty of the world he lives in. Becoming a Titan is something that comes as a shock to Eren, the main reason being that he has now become the thing that he hates most and pretty much his sworn enemy, a Titan. The main reason Eren wanted to join the Survey Corps in the first place was to destroy all the Titans and save humanity. He also wanted to see what was truly beyond the walls that he had been trapped in all his life. and yet, striving his whole life for this freedom and revenge, in gaining the power of the Attack and Founding Titan, he is a slave. He was given this power not by his own free will, but because the person who entrusted him this power, which was himself, had to give it to him in order to save the world. In a way, you could see that Eren was forced into this position by the cruelty of the world that he lives in. Eren versus Annie was of course a very memorable fight, as for the first time in the story, we really got to see Titan versus Titan combat. When Eren first encounters the female Titan, he gets absolutely destroyed. So bad that Levi has to save his ass. But the most important thing to take away here is that Eren sees the female Titan as a bad guy and somebody that must be destroyed. There is only such thing as good or bad in his mind. There is no such thing as a good person being forced into doing bad things, which ironically is what he later becomes down the line. When Annie is revealed to be the female Titan, Eren is the only one in his group that literally denies the idea completely. Armin, Mikasa, and the rest of the Survey Corps accept the idea of there being a traitor, but Eren just can't seem to understand why somebody who was seemingly his ally this whole time was actually this horrible murderer. It's specifically clear when Eren tries to transform but is unable to, symbolizing that he doesn't truly feel the hatred needed to take down Annie. This is what really makes the female Titan fight so special, as for the first time in Eren's life, he gets betrayed. Eren, I once said this to John, someone who can't sacrifice anything can never change anything. That to defeat monsters, you have to be willing to throw aside your humanity. After a quick pep talk from Armin, Eren remembers the result of him not being able to throw away his humanity, and as a result of this, he transforms. What results is a side of Eren that we have never seen. Yes, we've seen him rage. Yes, he's shown a lot of emotion, but this was way beyond that. While he screams these exact words, he also attempts to eat the female Titan. Now keep in mind that just a few moments ago, Eren was hesitating to kill Annie. But after coming to the realization of who Annie truly was, he releases these kinds of extreme emotions. Completely regardless of who he's fighting or what he's even doing, he annihilates Annie. And had it not been for Levi, he would have consumed the female Titan and gained her powers. The Reiner and Bertolt betrayal was easily one of the best moments in the entire series, and to be honest, I think I've watched this scene so many times, I could probably rehearse every character's line in Japanese, and I don't even know Japanese. But the real importance of this scene towards Eren's character is of course the fact that the two people he was closest with were really the reasons for the deaths of hundreds of his comrades, and of course his mother. This not only makes for one of the most impactful moments in the entire series, but it is one that will change Eren as a character forever, as he now begins to understand that anyone could be a comrade or even an enemy. This heated conversation with Reiner is one that shows Eren's true nature when faced by his enemies. Again, he only sees enemies as bad people and nothing more. If anything, this moment adds a realistic character to Eren, since no matter how much a person grows or changes, they're still that same person at the end of the day. Eren has changed a great deal since the beginning of Season 1, but at the end of the day, he's still Eren Jaeger. Throughout these past few weeks, Eren has been faced with many challenges and ordeals, most of which he's been able to overcome for the most part. That is, until the second appearance of the Smiling Titan. From Annie's betrayal to the reveal that Reiner and Bertolt were Titans, to fighting and confronting his sworn enemies, Eren had continued to move forward. While the realization that his closest comrades were enemies was definitely saddening to Eren, he had enough hatred to push forward. Now, he's broken. As he witnesses Hannes get eaten, he collapses to the ground and lets out a scream of agony while trying to cope with what just happened by laughing. This moment is so powerful as we finally get to see a character who was the embodiment of keep moving forward finally break. But something got him standing up again, and that something was Mikasa. Realizing the situation they were in, Mikasa knew that it might be the end for the both of them, so she confesses her love for Eren. Having heard Mikasa's words of hope, Eren, now realizing the situation, gets up and continues moving forward again. This scene is one of the most powerful scenes in the entire second season. Having now understood what really happened on the day the walls were breached, and having seen how he truly got his powers, Eren is at a point where he no longer has any will to live. When he's captured and held captive by Rod Reis, he doesn't fight back, he doesn't challenge their decision. Instead, he tells Historia, "I never need it to happen. At the very least, I want you to end it all for me. Historia, eat me and save humanity." Eren at this point has truly given up on himself, but with Rod Reis now becoming a Titan, Eren is faced with a similar situation as back in Season 1, the decision of whether to trust his comrades or to trust in himself. This time, as opposed to what he did in Season 1, he decides to take charge for himself, and in doing this, he saves the lives of his comrades. The battle to retake Shiganshina was filled with so many incredibly breathtaking moments, many of which do with Eren. Firstly, his second battle with Reiner was much better than the first in terms of actual combat. That's because this time, instead of relying completely on his own rage to win him the battle, Eren actually thinks. But it's this exact thing that allows Eren to defeat Reiner with the help of the Survey Corps. But the main thing is, in this extremely stressful battle is the part where Bertolt is finally defeated. Eren, now fighting alongside his Armin, is faced with the reality of the situation. He accepts the fact that Armin is going to die and goes along with the plan to defeat Bertolt. He knew the sacrifice it would have taken, and yet he went along with the plan. In the end, Eren defeats his greatest enemy at the expense of losing his for the time being, of course. What I just talked about was Eren showing maturity, but there's another side to this, and that is when Levi decides he's going to use the serum on Erwin. At this moment, Eren is faced with the fact that he's going to lose someone he can very clearly save. And in succumbing to this realization, Eren resorts back to his childish self, and his rage takes over once again. Once more, what this brilliantly crafted moment shows is how even though Eren has changed as a character, he has a part of his old self still residing within him. This moment was a perfect representation of Eren's character and the harsh reality of the world he lives in. His entire battle up until now was to defeat all the Titans, not only for revenge, but also for the sole reason of the entire story: freedom. His whole life, he had wanted to see what was truly beyond the dreadful walls he'd been trapped in all his life. He had wished to see the ocean in Armin's book.
ねえ、エレン、これ見てよ。壁の向こうには海があって、海の向こうには自由がある。ずっとそう信じてた。でも違った。As the entire Survey Corps lay their eyes on the vast water that seemingly has no end, they have a sense of victory, a feeling as though they were finally free from the dreadful lives they'd lived for those past few years. Eren, on the other hand, is not. Seeing his father's future memories and seeing the true reality of the world had just left him defeated.
He had seen the outcome of his future actions, and this early on in his life, he knew his fate and he knew what would happen in the future. He was in a way a slave to his future self, and yet he was now at a point where there was only one thing he could do. The ocean he had wanted to see his whole life was not the ocean he had longed to see. As Yatoru best described it, the ocean was not a symbol of freedom to Eren. Instead, it was just another wall that he must destroy. Season 4 is where we see the results of what Eren witnessed in Season 3. Season 4 is the climax of his character and obviously where he shines the most. For the entire story up until this point, it seemed like Eren was the one being chased. You could say that he was like the prey for every Titan shifter working with Marley. Now it's the complete opposite. Eren is the one who takes charge, and instead of obeying orders or going along with the Survey Corps' plans, Eren chooses his own path. This is first shown with his attack on Marley. The confrontation with Reiner is one with many incredibly detailed parallels and makes for one of the show's most breathtaking moments. An entire video could be made on these two and this moment, but for the sake of this video, I'll keep it simple. Reiner was a character who regretted his actions and simply wanted to show the world that he was a hero and that he was not the devil that the entire Marleyan race made him out to be. He overcame failure after failure, and after his loss to Eren and the Survey Corps at Shiganshina, he had had enough and wished for his own death. Eren, on the other hand, is a character who, despite his many failures, managed to accomplish his goal, but was faced with another much larger goal immediately after. While he is broken and has lost the happiness he once had, he continues to move towards the goal he must accomplish. Both characters keep moving forward in their own ways for their own reasons. The two sides of the same coin. To be honest, this is probably the point of the video that I'm most excited to talk about, and that is, of course, Path's Eren. Probably my favorite version of Eren in the entire story. In order to accomplish his goal, Eren manipulated his father into getting the power of the Founding Titan, and potentially even manipulated multiple of the past Attack Titans. Basically, what this moment tells us is that Eren Jaeger started his own story. He is the mastermind behind the chaos that happens throughout Attack on Titan, and he is responsible for almost every event that happens. Going into his father's past memories was an interesting experience for Eren, as there were happy moments in his early life, and of course, dark, traumatic experiences as well. These scenes of Eren looking at his past self and looking at Grisha from the past just shows how truly twisted this timeline really is, and how dark the world in which Eren lives in impacts his actions throughout the story. Eren, why do you refuse to end this conflict? What do you plan on doing with the Founder's powers? I am just me. I always have been. If someone tries to take my freedom away, I won't hesitate to take theirs. Our father didn't make me that way. I have been like this since birth. Ever since he was born, Eren had fought for freedom. He's always wanted to see what was outside the walls and hated the idea of being caged like cattle. Chapter 121 shows how much Eren has changed, and yet his past and future self continue to fight for the same cause. That, of course, being the ultimate goal of freedom. The reason the Attack Titans' true powers were never revealed, the reason all the past Attack Titans fought for freedom, and the reason this story even began in the first place was all due to Eren. He started this story, and he also wrote his own story as well. At this point in the story, Eren is not a slave. He has the power of the Founding and Attack Titan, giving him both the power to see into the future and the power to control all the Titan shifters.
It was this same Eren that caused his past self to live as a slave, all for the sake of the freedom he now has. For the first time in his life, he is free to do as he wishes, and with this incredible power known as freedom, he seeks to take away the freedom from the rest of the world. Eren Jaeger is no longer a slave. Since the beginning of Season 4, nobody knew why he kept moving forward and what his true intentions really were. But with him now revealing that he was behind everything, Eren goes from being an anti-hero protagonist to ending the royal bloodline cycle, gaining Ymir's trust, and ultimately attempting to destroy the world. He is no longer the protagonist of the story. From here on out, Eren Jaeger is the enemy and the story's main antagonist. Everyone says Eren has changed. Even I believed it. But maybe that's wrong. Eren hasn't changed one bit from the start. If that's who Eren truly was all along, what part of him had I been seeing? This perfectly summarizes Eren's twisted character. A person who changes because of the world around him, but at the same time being the same person. In chapter 123, Eren and the Survey Corps visit the outside world and see what's truly outside the walls. Similar to the ocean scene, while everyone is enjoying the experience, Eren is once again broken. On this page right here, when Mikasa approaches Eren, there's a very subtle tear coming down Eren's eye. This is most likely due to how he's seen all the future memories and knows these people will be destroyed by his own hands. He's asked by Mikasa soon after if something happens and responds, "Not yet," proving that he's seen what is going to happen and realizes how evil he really is. These people live here after losing their homes to war. Just like us, regular life stopped for us one day. Everything was taken from us, all their freedom taken away. Mikasa, why is it that you care so much about me? Is it because I saved you when you were a kid? Or is it because I'm family? What am I to you? This is the moment that changed everything. Mikasa's response would have changed the outcome of Eren's decision. Eren, having seen what happens, questions his reason for doing this. And because Mikasa plays such a major role in his goals, he asks her if she really loves him. In a way, this shows Eren's difference of personalities, as his main reason for asking Mikasa this is to really question if he has to go along with the rumbling plan. Had Mikasa said something else, Eren may not have gone along with the rumbling plan, but in the end, he did. Chapters 130 and 131 show the two complete sides of Eren Jaeger. The first being how he truly does want to bring ruin to the world and destroy every last human being beyond the walls. Wishing for the destruction of the world is something only a true devil could think of, and that devil is, of course, Eren. And yet, even with this belief, he feels regret and sadness towards the victims of his own rumbling. This is demonstrated in chapter 131, quite possibly the most emotionally impactful chapter in the series. In this chapter, it flashes back to when Eren visited Marley for the first time and when he saved the boy named Ramsey. They're all going to die soon. No, I am going to kill them. Yes, that's what's going to happen. It must be that we never found a way for Paradise to survive. It's all going to go away. These homes, these people, these animals, these lives, these dreams. As he walks up to Ramsey, he asks why he wishes to save him since he's going to kill him anyways, and yet he saves him. This is because within the evil plan Eren has plotted, he still feels for the innocent people. And as he saves the boy, he says something that shows so much more depth to this serial killer personality he's established. "I'm just like you, Reiner, a half-hearted piece of shit." No, I'm not. I'm even worse than that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What was really beyond the walls was nothing like the world I dreamed of. Ever since I was born, there before my eyes stood those miserable walls. Flaming water, frozen plains, snowfields on sand. I'm sure that the outside world is way bigger than the one inside of these walls. Anyone who saw those things would be the freest person in the world. This is freedom. Having fought all his life, this is how Eren truly felt about this decision. Yes, he's a mass murderer. Yes, he is a devil. But under that devil's mask, there is a human. Maybe he really did want to destroy the world. Maybe his whole intention was to protect those he cares about. Or maybe he just wanted freedom. He has a variety of goals, and with each goal comes a different side of the character. Whether it be the genocidal maniac, the caring friend, or the encaged bird. That may just be the most misunderstood part about the brilliance behind Eren Jaeger.
And it's always like that in the evening time. We drink and we sing when our fighting is done.
I think this ending showed a lot about Eren, and while not necessarily in the best ways, I can kinda see what Isayama was going for with this ending, and specifically with Eren's character. If you saw my most recent video, you know that there's a possibility that this is all a time loop, and the anime ending will be completely different. But that doesn't mean I'm not covering the manga's ending. The main thing to take away from this chapter is the mental state of Eren. There have been a few points in the story now where Eren has felt defeated, but I think he feels the most defeat in this chapter. Literally, because he's dead. It's as if he's really lost himself because of all the murder and killing he had to see multiple times because of the Attack Titan's power. And as he mentions in this final chapter, the power of the founding Titan causes things to happen at the same time, and because of this, he was forced to take the life of his own mother. This is also a highly misunderstood moment, as Eren killing his own mother was not necessarily what some people call it. Eren didn't kill his mother to save his friends. He did it to allow the hatred within his younger self to build up. Had it not been for this, young Eren would never pursue the Titans nearly as much and wouldn't have the hatred needed to go down the path that he did. To be quite honest, this could have been a moment that would have resulted in a mind-blowing plot twist, but unfortunately, there's only so much you can fit into a chapter. For the first time, he had accomplished what he set out to do from the beginning to the end, and yet he didn't get to live any longer. He lived his whole life fighting towards something, and when he finally won that battle, he lost the most important thing, his life. The regret of slaughtering 80% of humanity was not something he could necessarily contain. His whole life, he'd been living with a goal in mind, with something that he always had to do, something he was a slave to. But in the end, when he finally accomplishes this goal, he simply wants to live with those he cares about peacefully, as his whole life he's been constantly fighting an upwards battle. He's always fighting towards achieving something, and now he can finally rest. That is the misunderstood brilliance behind the character of Eren Jaeger. First of all, I just want to thank all of you who made it this far into the video, as you could have spent this 30 minutes of your time doing anything you wished, but you decided to spend it on this video. So thank you all for checking out this video. It did take me a hell of a long time to make, and as you can see, my upload schedule has gone to complete shit. So hopefully you did enjoy the video. That is all for me though. Take care and peace.